There is a subtle habit most people carry without realizing it. They try to force life to happen on their timeline, in their way, with constant pressure behind every action. They push harder, think more, chase faster, believing that effort alone will bring results. But if you observe closely, the more tension you carry, the more resistance you create. It feels almost confusing at first. You are doing more, trying more, thinking more. Yet things don't move the way you expect. Opportunities feel distant. People feel harder to reach. Even your own mind feels restless, never fully settled. And the reason is simple. When your energy is tight, everything around you feels that tension. Forcing is not just about action. It is a state of mind. It is the feeling that something is missing right now and must be fixed immediately. It is the belief that if you don't push, things will fall apart. And from that state, every decision carries urgency, pressure, and a quiet fear of not getting what you want. But that state does not attract, it repels. When you are tense, your thinking becomes narrow. You stop seeing clearly. You overanalyze small things, react quickly, and lose the natural flow of action. You may still be moving, but your movement is heavy. It lacks ease. It lacks clarity. This is where a different approach begins, not by doing less, but by changing how you do things. You start to relax your grip, not in a careless way, not by giving up, but by releasing the unnecessary pressure you've been carrying. You begin to understand that not everything needs to be controlled in every moment. That constant tension is not strength. It is exhaustion waiting to happen. When you relax internally, something shifts immediately. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts become less chaotic. You begin to see situations more clearly without the extra layer of urgency. And from that clarity, your actions become more precise. This is what allowing looks like. You still act. You still move forward. But you are not forcing outcomes. You are not chasing every result with desperation. You are focused on what is in front of you, doing it well, without attaching your entire emotional state to the outcome. And this changes how others experience you too. A calm person does not feel heavy to be around. There is no pressure, no hidden demand, no constant urgency. There is space. And in that space, connection happens more naturally. Opportunities appear more easily. Conversations flow without effort because calm energy invites, while pressure pushes away. You also begin to trust timing more, not blindly, but with awareness. You understand that not everything needs to happen instantly. Some things require space to develop, and when you stop forcing them, they begin to unfold in ways you could not have planned. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become aligned. You act when it's time to act. You wait when waiting is needed. You don't rush decisions out of fear. You don't chase outcomes out of insecurity. You stay grounded, steady, and present. At first, this may feel unfamiliar. The mind is used to tension. It is used to pushing. So when you relax, it may feel like you are doing less, even when you're actually doing better. But over time, you begin to notice the difference. Your actions become smoother. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your energy becomes lighter. And things that once felt difficult start to feel more natural because you are no longer fighting against life. You are moving with it. And in that shift from forcing to allowing, you stop exhausting yourself trying to control everything. And you start creating the kind of energy that naturally draws the right things toward you. Once you begin to loosen your grip and stop forcing everything, you start to notice something deeper. The real tension was never outside of you. It was coming from your own mind. The mind has a habit of trying to control everything. It wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to predict every outcome before you even take a step. And when it cannot do that, it fills the space with overthinking, doubt, and endless what-if scenarios. At first, this feels like you are being careful, like you are protecting yourself. But if you look closely, most of this thinking doesn't actually solve anything. It just creates noise. It pulls you away from the present moment and places you into imagined situations that may never happen. And while you are caught in that loop, you lose something very important: clarity. Because clarity does not come from thinking more. It comes from thinking less, but thinking clearly. When your mind is constantly active, jumping from one thought to another, trying to control every detail, your perception becomes distorted. You begin to see problems where there are none. You create pressure where there is no real urgency. You hesitate, not because the path is unclear, but because your thinking has made it complicated. This is how the mind creates resistance. Not by changing reality, but by changing how you experience it. A simple situation becomes stressful because you overanalyze it. A small delay feels like a major problem because you imagine worst-case scenarios. A decision feels heavy because you try to predict every possible outcome instead of simply taking the next step. And slowly, you begin to feel stuck, not because you are, but because your mind has created that feeling. This is why calming the mind is so powerful. When you step back from constant thinking, even for a moment, something shifts. The noise begins to settle, the urgency fades, and what remains is a clearer view of what is actually in front of you. You realize that many of the things you were worried about do not need immediate attention. Many of the fears were just thoughts, not reality. Many of the complications were created, not real. And in that realization, your body relaxes, your breathing slows, your attention returns to the present. This is where real control begins. Not in controlling everything outside, but in not being controlled by everything inside. You don't need to stop your thoughts completely. That's not the goal. The goal is to stop following every thought as if it's important, to see it, acknowledge it, and let it pass without building a story around it. When you do this, your mind becomes lighter. You are no longer carrying unnecessary mental weight. You are not constantly reacting to every internal voice. You are choosing what deserves your attention. And this choice changes everything, because now your actions are not driven by anxiety or overthinking. They are driven by clarity. You respond instead of react. You move instead of hesitate. You also begin to trust yourself more. Not because you have all the answers, but because you are no longer overwhelming yourself with unnecessary questions. There is a quiet confidence in that, a sense that you can handle what comes without needing to predict everything in advance. And from this calm state, life starts to feel different. Things flow more naturally. Decisions feel lighter. You are more present in conversations, in actions, in simple moments. You are not constantly somewhere else in your head. This is what happens when the mind stops creating resistance. You don't need to fight reality anymore. You don't need to control every detail. You simply see clearly and act accordingly. And in that clarity, things begin to align, not because you force them, but because you stop blocking them with unnecessary noise. As your mind becomes quieter and you stop creating unnecessary resistance, something else becomes clear. Calmness is not weakness. In fact, it is one of the strongest forms of control you can develop. Most people misunderstand this. They associate power with loudness, quick reactions, constant movement, or emotional intensity. They think that being calm means you are passive, slow, or not fully engaged. But if you observe closely, the opposite is often true. When someone cannot stay calm, they are easily controlled by their environment. A small problem disturbs them. A comment triggers them. A delay frustrates them. Their emotions shift quickly, and with those emotions, their actions also change. This is not strength. This is reactivity. Real strength shows itself differently. It is quiet. It is steady. It does not need to prove itself in every moment. A calm person is not someone who feels nothing. They are someone who is not controlled by what they feel. There is a big difference. When you remain calm, especially in situations where others lose control, you create space between what happens and how you respond. That space is where your power exists, because in that moment, you are not reacting automatically. You are choosing your response. And choice is control. Imagine a situation where things don't go as planned. Maybe something delays your progress, or someone speaks in a way that feels challenging. In a reactive state, you respond immediately. You may speak too quickly, act without thinking, or let emotion guide your behavior. But in a calm state, something else happens. You pause, even if it's just for a second. You observe what is happening without immediately labeling it as good or bad. And from that place, your response becomes more measured, more intentional. This changes everything, because now you are not being pulled in different directions by every external event. You are grounded, you are stable, you are moving from a center, not from chaos. And people feel this. A calm presence carries a different kind of energy. It is not heavy, not tense, not demanding. It creates space for others to feel at ease. It brings clarity into situations that would otherwise become emotional or complicated. This is why calmness has influence. Not because it tries to control others, but because it is not easily controlled. And that stability naturally affects the environment around it. You also begin to notice how much energy you save when you are calm. You are not constantly reacting, not constantly overthinking, not constantly shifting your emotional state. Your energy becomes more focused, more available for what actually matters. This allows you to act with precision. Instead of rushing, you move with awareness. Instead of reacting, you respond. Instead of being scattered, you stay aligned. And over time, this creates better results. Not through force, but through clarity. Calmness also builds trust within yourself. Because when you know you can remain steady, even when things are uncertain, you feel more secure. You don't panic as easily. You don't feel the need to control everything. You trust your ability to handle what comes. And that trust is powerful. It removes fear. It reduces hesitation. It allows you to move forward without constant internal conflict. This does not mean you will never feel emotion. It means emotion will no longer control your direction. You can feel something fully, but still choose your response. That is real control. And over time, this becomes part of who you are. You don't have to remind yourself to stay calm. It becomes your natural state. Not because life is always easy, but because you have learned not to be shaken by every moment. And in that steadiness, you begin to realize something important. You don't need to react to everything to have power. Sometimes the greatest power is in remaining still, aware, and in control of yourself. That is calmness, and that is strength. As you begin to understand calmness as control, another subtle shift starts to happen inside you. You realize how much of your tension has been coming from attachment to outcomes. Not just wanting something, but needing it to happen in a specific way at a specific time, or your peace gets disturbed. At first, this attachment feels normal. You set a goal, you visualize a result, and naturally you want it to happen. But without noticing, that desire can slowly turn into pressure. You start measuring every moment against the outcome. You begin to worry if things are not moving fast enough. You question yourself, the process, even your direction. And in that state, you lose your center because your focus is no longer on what you can control, your actions, your effort, your presence. Your focus shifts to what you cannot fully control, the result. This is where anxiety begins. The more tightly you hold on to an outcome, the more tension you create within yourself. Every delay feels heavier. Every uncertainty feels like a threat. And instead of moving with clarity, you start moving with pressure. But something changes when you begin to detach. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending on the outcome for your inner state. You still have direction, you still take action, but your peace is no longer tied to immediate results. You begin to understand that your responsibility is in alignment, not in control. Alignment means you show up, you act with focus, You do what is necessary in the present moment. You give your best effort without constantly checking if the result is already there. You stay connected to the process instead of being consumed by the outcome. And when you do this, something interesting happens. Your mind becomes lighter. You are no longer carrying the pressure of what if it doesn't work. You are no longer trying to force results to appear instantly. You are simply doing what needs to be done, one step at a time. This creates a calm kind of confidence, not the loud, impatient kind that demands results quickly, but a quiet certainty that you are moving in the right direction. You trust the process because you are fully engaged in it. And from this place, your actions improve. You make better decisions because you are not rushed. You stay more consistent because you are not emotionally shaken by short-term outcomes. You are more present because your attention is not constantly pulled into the future. This presence is powerful because when your mind is not divided between what is and what should be, your energy becomes focused. You are able to see clearly, act precisely, and adjust when needed without panic. You also begin to notice that when you are less attached, things often come more naturally. Not because you stopped caring, but because you removed the pressure that was blocking flow. People respond better to you. Opportunities feel less forced. Timing begins to make more sense. And even when things don't go exactly as planned, you are able to adapt without losing your balance. This is the strength of detachment. You are not controlled by outcomes anymore. You are guided by your actions. And this changes how you experience progress. Instead of constantly asking, am I there yet? You begin to focus on, am I aligned right now? And that shift removes a lot of unnecessary stress. You are no longer chasing the future. You are building it, step by step, without tension. And over time, this creates something stable. Because a weak mindset depends on results to feel okay. But a strong, calm mindset stays steady regardless of immediate outcomes. You learn to move forward without needing constant proof. You learn to trust your path without forcing it. And in that trust, your energy becomes lighter, clearer, and more attractive. Because you are no longer desperate for things to happen. You are ready for them when they do. Once you begin to loosen your attachment to outcomes and stay aligned with your actions, another important shift starts to happen. You realize that rushing has been one of the main reasons you feel scattered, tired, and inconsistent. Most people move through life in a constant hurry. They wake up and immediately feel behind. They move from one task to another without fully being present in any of them. Even when they are resting, their mind is still racing ahead, thinking about what's next. And because of this, everything feels heavy. Rushing creates pressure. It shortens your attention. It makes you react instead of respond. You start making decisions quickly, not always clearly. You miss details, you lose depth. And over time, this constant speed leads to exhaustion, not progress. It feels like you're doing a lot, but moving very little. This is where slowing down becomes powerful. Not slowing down your ambition, not slowing down your goals, but slowing down your inner state. The way you think, the way you move, the way you approach what's in front of you. When you slow down internally, something changes immediately. Your breathing becomes deeper. Your thoughts become clearer. You stop jumping from one thing to another, and instead, you begin to focus on one thing at a time. And in that focus, your actions improve. You start to notice details you used to miss. You complete tasks more fully. You make decisions with more awareness instead of urgency. And because of that, your results become more accurate, more intentional. This is what most people don't realize. Speed without clarity creates mistakes, and mistakes slow you down in the long run. But calm focus, even if it feels slower in the moment, actually moves you forward faster over time. Because you are not constantly fixing errors. You are not restarting again and again. You are moving with direction. There is also a different kind of energy that comes with slowing down. You are no longer draining yourself by trying to do everything at once. Your energy becomes more stable, more sustainable. You can stay consistent for longer because you are not exhausting yourself in short bursts. This consistency is what creates real progress. You also begin to feel more present in your life. Instead of always thinking about the next thing, you are actually experiencing what you are doing right now. Whether it's working, talking, or even resting, you are fully there. And that presence creates calm, not because everything around you is perfect, but because you are no longer rushing through it. You are moving with awareness, not pressure. This also affects how others experience you. When you are rushed, your energy feels tense, distracted, slightly unavailable. But when you are calm and present, people feel it. Conversations become deeper. Connections become more natural because you are not in a hurry to leave the moment. Slowing down also builds patience. You stop expecting everything to happen instantly. You understand that meaningful results take time, and you are willing to give that time without frustration. This patience removes a lot of unnecessary stress. You are no longer fighting against time. You are working with it. And over time, you begin to trust this rhythm. You see that moving calmly does not make you fall behind. It actually keeps you on track. You are not burning out. You are not losing focus. You are progressing steadily. That is real speed, not how fast you move in one moment, but how consistently you move over time. A rushed mindset feels busy but stays scattered. A calm mindset may feel slower, but it moves with precision, and precision creates results. So you begin to let go of that constant urgency. You stop trying to do everything at once. You focus on what is in front of you, and you do it well, step by step, without pressure, without panic. And in that calm, steady movement, you begin to notice something surprising. You are actually moving forward faster than before, not because you rushed, but because you finally slowed down enough to move with clarity. As you begin to slow down, detach from outcomes, and move with calm clarity, something deeper starts to shift within you. You realize that what you attract in life is not just based on what you want, but on who you are being every day. Most people focus only on desire. They think, if I want something badly enough, it will come. But desire alone is not enough. Because if your inner state is restless, anxious, or inconsistent, that energy reflects in everything you do. It shapes your decisions, your communication, your presence. And people feel that. Opportunities respond to that. You don't attract what you say you want. You attract what your energy is aligned with. This is why calmness becomes so powerful. When you are calm, grounded, and clear, your presence changes. You are no longer trying to impress, force, or chase. You are simply being steady in who you are. And that steadiness creates a different kind of attraction. There is no desperation in it, no hidden pressure, no need to prove anything. And because of that, things begin to come toward you more naturally. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes perfect or that everything appears instantly. It means the right things begin to align more easily. The right conversations happen. The right opportunities appear at the right time. The right people feel comfortable around you because your energy is no longer pushing things away. When you are constantly chasing, there is a subtle message behind your actions. You feel like something is missing, that you need something outside of you to feel complete. And that feeling creates tension. But when you are calm, you are not operating from lack. You are operating from stability. You are not trying to fill a gap. You are expressing who you already are. And that difference is powerful. It changes how you speak, how you act, how you carry yourself. You become more present, more confident, more grounded. Not in a loud way, but in a quiet, steady way that people trust. You also begin to notice that you are more selective. You don't chase every opportunity or every connection. You choose what aligns with you. And because of that, what enters your life is more meaningful. This is what attraction really is. Not chasing everything, but becoming aligned with what is right for you. There is also a sense of ease that comes with this. You are no longer trying to control every outcome or force every situation. You trust that as long as you continue to act with clarity and stay grounded, things will come in their time. That trust removes pressure. And without pressure, your actions become more natural, more authentic. You are not acting out of fear or urgency. You are acting from a place of stability. Over time, this builds something strong inside you. A quiet confidence that does not depend on external validation. A sense of self that is not easily shaken by delays or uncertainty. And from that place, your life begins to shift. Not because you chased harder, but because you became someone who no longer needed to chase. You stopped trying to force everything, and instead, you focused on becoming calm, clear, and aligned. And in that alignment, the things that truly belong in your life start to find their way to you. Not all at once, not perfectly, but naturally. Because when your energy changes, your direction changes. And when your direction changes, your results follow. That is the real meaning of attraction. You don't get everything by wanting more. You get closer to everything by becoming someone who is ready to receive it.